Okay. Here we go then. About 40 seconds till we get kicking. And I'll talk you through tonight's workout. As I explained for the squad athletes, as I explained in the WhatsApp group, kind of the emphasis has changed now in our workouts, on our weekly workouts. Very much looking towards the race season now. We've done a lot of top end work. There's still going to be a fair bit of top end work, but it's going to be smattered in amongst everything else. So tonight's session's a good example of the sort of emphasis that we're doing, but we'll just get started first and I'll go through that. Yeah, here we go. So we've got the normal build up. Every couple of minutes, we increase the power by about 4%. It works out as usually around 6 to 10 watts increase with each step. It should be pretty steady, pretty manageable. Good question. So erg mode on for now. I'll talk a little bit about erg mode. You're probably going to want it on pretty much all session, but I will just kind of give you some info about erg mode. But for now, erg mode on. So at the bottom, you want that to say have an E at the bottom. I don't quite understand why this is all so complicated underneath the box, but yeah, you want it to say E at the moment. I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, normal 10-minute build. Then we got 5 fast pedaling efforts. They're only 10 seconds long. So they're quite powered efforts. So about 120% of FTP. This borderline aerobic. This little kicks basically, with 45 seconds of easy riding in between. They're just to wake up the fast twitch muscle fibers, lift that default cadence, and kind of just give you a little wake up. Then we've got a steady tempo sector for 5 minutes, set at about 80% of FTP before we hit the main set. Now we've only actually got 2 kind of proper main sets, but they're pretty horrible. So I reserve your euphoria. So these are, as I say, race focused sets. So the way they work is you've got 3 minutes threshold at 100% of FTP before we lift to a minute at 115%, and then we lift again for 30 seconds at 130% before coming back down to threshold for 2 minutes. So we then have a lovely recovery. So, but it's not very long. So the whole point of this is kind of mimicking the type of efforts that you would do in a race. It doesn't really matter what your race. That sort of lifting and then coming back down to a level where you're not really recovering, but you can continue for at least a short period before you crack, before you get dropped. And hopefully you're just kind of hanging on, hoping everyone else slows down as well. Yeah, we've all been there. It doesn't matter what the race is. Okay, so I'm afraid these will probably bring back sort of traumatic memories of races, bygone PTSD type scenario. So we've got 2 rounds of that. Okay, we got a bit of recovery after the first one, then a tempo sector for 10 minutes, again at 80% before you go into the second round, more recovery, and then a 3rd tempo section. So I'll just repeat that again. We get through the warm-up, the fast pedaling efforts. We then got a 5-minute tempo sector. We then hit the first main set, 3 minutes at threshold, minute of VO2, 30 seconds anaerobic before coming back down to threshold for 2 minutes. Then we recover. Then we go again with a 10-minute tempo sector, and then the second round of lifts for recovering, and then finishing off the session with another 10-minute tempo sector. So in terms of the actual sort of really hard work, there isn't that much of it, but it's absolutely minging when you do it. Okay, so you've only got quite short sectors where you really need to dig deep, but the overall level is kind of a tempo baseline basically. So not too dissimilar to the sort of level you would maintain in a road race or something like that. okay, or a time trial. And then if you imagine the scenario, you've got a pretty flat time trial, and then you've got a little kicker with an extra little ramp at the top. You get over that, try and push over the top, and then back to a tempo baseline. It's that sort of, there's various scenarios you could run that would reflect this session. So that's what we're up for. And that's the sessions we've got now. So in our chat, we're going to be talking about AI. It's rolling training, and in particular, kind of how I use it, or how I'll be using it. If anyone's got any questions at any point, guys, shout. It doesn't necessarily have to be about AI. Maybe wait towards the end if it's completely off subject, just so it's not too jarring. But yeah, any questions, guys? This hit me. Everyone all right so far? Yeah. So AI. Right, so it is an absolute fact that AI is going to play some role in all of our training in the future. And the potential for it is incredible. It can be incredibly useful. And I think it's easy though. So this is going to be a balanced appraisal. There's pros and cons to it. It is easy to think that AI will solve everything. And suddenly we're all going to have perfect training plans, and it will just, it will take care of everything. I actually struggle to see that in the future, at least in the next, lifetime. And I think also, from a coaching perspective, it's easy, from an athlete as well, it's easy to be a bit intimidated by AI. Maybe not quite sure what it is, or how you might actually use it. And for a coach, coaches might be worried about their jobs. So for me though, AI is something I'm incredibly excited about. I think it has enormous potential as a coaching and training tool. And that's why I've worked so closely with young platforms, with greater or lesser success. But overall, I think the future is really bright for training tools. The real potential for me as a coach is for it to do the heavy lifting in creating training programs, and then allowing me to nuance them and add the sort of the sprinkles on top, the cherry on top. And I don't mind admitting that. That might sound like, I'm just expecting it to do most of my job. Because I don't mind admitting how helpful AI could be for me, because if you're going to a coach purely for a training plan, then you're not getting your money's worth. And that's why I'm always so adamant about these training sessions, about you guys asking questions, because I want to do more than just give you guys training plans. Because I think I've got a lot more than that to offer. And so if I can leverage AI to do the heavy programming, the structure at least, it then allows me to focus on the areas where I can really add value. So, athlete management, helping you guys deal with the day-to-day, helping you with the mental health side of things, helping you guys to develop knowledge and having the time to develop my knowledge even further. It all comes down to time, basically, creating extra capacity for me to do more and help you guys develop skills, teach you more about fueling and hydration, do more in-person or online training if people want it, and creating resources like those in the members area. So, for example, the critical power calculator, the run pace calculator, the CSS calculator, all those calculators that are now on the website, I built those using AI. Okay, I could build those calculators myself, but it would take flipping ages. Okay, whereas using ChatGPT, I could build those calculators. I built them all within a day. Okay, so that's just one area where it allows us to kind of create things that otherwise I just probably wouldn't have the time to create. And then probably the final major benefit of AI is its potential ability to do real-time plan adjustments. You know, as you progress through your week, your day, or even in a session, if something happens to adjust the parameters, it can ultimately update that. So, for example, if you miss a session or your heart rate's too high, it can alter things. Yes, doing things, those micro adjustments that coach would love to do, or maybe not, I don't know, would like to be able to do, like to be able to offer, is maybe the right phrase, but it's not realistic time-wise to make every tiny little adjustment. Anyway, I'll carry on in a second. Let's get ready for these fast pedaling efforts. They're only 10 seconds long, so get ready. Here we go. So we're going almost anaerobic. The emphasis should be on the leg speed though. To get that cadence well above 100 RPM. I was a bit slow there. I'm not training with you guys tonight, so I'm trying to take it relatively easy. So it's more a case of do as I say rather than do as I do, which is a horrible phrase, but it probably applies. Now just chilling out, sort of a 4 out of 10 effort, spinning up at around 65% of FTP. I'll continue the chat once we've gotten through these fast pedaling efforts, but what I will talk about is erg mode once we've gotten through this next rep. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, spin up the legs. Let the power feed in. 120% of FTP. Lift it, guys, last few seconds. So as I say, erg mode on pretty much the entire session. However, when we come to the conditioning sets, if you're struggling to keep your cadence above 80 RPM, you know, you're getting in and out the saddle a lot, turn erg mode off. Okay, move to fixed. So what that one is what I'm on at the moment. Okay, it should say a little F at the bottom there. Okay, don't do that now. Stay in erg mode as much as you can. But yeah, if you're just really struggling, move to that fixed gradient, use your gearing, and just do your best, okay? More important that you kind of fulfill the spirit of the session rather than being a slow to erg mode. Okay, third effort. So really pick up that cadence now, guys. Relax again. So that's 3 down, 2 more of those to go. And then we're going to go into the first tempo effort. So, the next couple of fast pedaling efforts. First tempo set is going to be 5 minutes long at 80% of FTP, and then it's going to lead us into the first round of conditioning stuff. Okay, just try and stay relaxed, keep the fluids coming on board. Hopefully a nice electrolyte drink. Just spilled over myself. Okay. Round 4 coming up on the fast pedaling efforts. Get ready, guys. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Couple seconds. Okay, good. Right, one more of those. So one last chance to wake yourself up. Then we're going into tempo sector. Guys. Okay, sorry guys, got a bit distracted until the final fast pedaling effort. Sorry guys, I was moving things around on my screen. Apologies about that. Right, so 40 seconds, then we're going up to tempo. Okay, just coming back to a little AI chat. Talked about kind of the potential for it, real possibilities. For you guys, you know, making those changes, adapting plans on a real-time basis. However, in my view, there are some major limitations to current AI platforms, and a lot of that is due to their infancy, but also just like the concept of AI influencing training. Okay, so up we go now to tempo, to 80% of FTP. It should feel like a 6 out of 10 effort, a nice strong, but not hard effort. Cadence wise, try and keep your cadence upwards of 85 RPM, ideally probably over 90 RPM if you can. And just get up to power and then try and relax, okay? Good stuff, guys. So once you're up to power, just relax. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Keep the chin up. And then just try and maintain that posture for the rest of the session. I'll keep trying to remind you. But as I say, the real limitations to AI in concept, really. I've yet to come across a platform that provides training that isn't entirely focused on conditioning. You know, they're all desperate to quantify fatigue, fitness, etc. But yet, I've not seen one yet that makes space for including skills work, or even just like progressive hill work, you know, like real bread and butter of every training plan. They're all obsessed at doing this amount of time at VO2, this amount of time at threshold, you know, hitting energy systems, blah blah blah, which obviously is vital for fitness. But you know, as we've seen after COVID, you can be mega fit, but you've got no race skills. You saw it in the crit scene. It was terrifying. You know, all these absolute hitters, been on the turbo for 2 years, complete monsters, but just had no idea how to ride in a pack. No idea, you know, that they needed to stay seated on a climb in the pack, because every time you get out of the saddle, you push your bike back, and that's usually into someone's front wheel. That was incredibly annoying. And none of these AI platforms provide decent strength work, decent strength programs that are tailored to you. Yeah, none of them provide for the realities of racing. So I've not seen one yet that kind of suggests to do warm-up races or time trials or virtual races to get experience before you hit your goal race. It's like, here's your goal race. We're going to get you fit for that, but not actually prepare you for the realities of racing. Okay? And I'm yet again, and you guys will be sick of this, I've been complaining about it a lot, but none of them provide ongoing benchmarking beyond FTP, critical power, you know, nothing practical. Which is I'll just stay calm. Move on. Anyway, some other kind of downsides for current training platform, AI platforms, is the training is boring, really boring, and that's all down to the fact that they are desperate to quantify everything that you do. I did anticipate that changing as things evolve, but currently, yeah, it's so boring. And I think one thing that is an issue for AI is there's still an underlying training philosophy there, and that isn't set in stone. You know, there isn't one training philosophy to rule them all. You might start talking about 80-20, but how do you apply 80-20? That requires, you know, a subjective philosophy. You know, for instance, how recovery is approached. You know, on platforms that we've used, their approach to recovery has either been non-existent or too aggressive to get you back to this baseline level of fatigue. Sorry, mate. Yeah, good question. So I'll just finish this point and I'll talk to you about that. The question was about what 80-20 is. So I'll use the recovery. Talk about that if that's okay. Because we've just got about 15 seconds and then we're going up to threshold. So you probably won't take in whatever I say. So we'll focus on the session now. So get ready, guys. Get ready to lift it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, up we go to 100% of FTP now. Should feel like an 8 out of 10. Cadence wise, we want you above 90 RPM. We want you up to effort. And then just try and relax as best you can. Lift the chin. Good stuff, guys. Who's that? It's just gone to the front. Is that Mikey? Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Well done. He's going out the front. That's okay. Don't worry about it. If erg mode's not working, just do your best to try and keep the power consistent. The easiest way to keep your power consistent when erg mode is off is have a nice high cadence, because then your average power will be smoother because you're putting out kind of less power per pedal stroke, and so you're able to maintain it like that, maintain it more steadily. So don't stress about it, it really isn't a big deal. Well done, guys. Let's try and keep that nice high cadence. Coming up to halfway through the threshold sector. Well done, guys. You're over halfway through the threshold sector. We're flooding your system with fatigue, and then we're just going to ask a little bit more of you. Cruel and unusual, but we're going to do it. And there's only 2 of these conditioning rounds, so don't hold back, guys, okay? Try and keep the shoulders down, away from your ears, your chin up. We're in time trialing mode at the moment. So imagine the scenario. Okay, so I think we've got a split in the group, don't we? Or we all... Okay, back to my doodah. Yeah, so we've got a little split in the group. So just imagine, okay, you're the person on the back, on the front of the back second group. You know, you're absolutely drilling it. Trying to close that gap. Good, guys, so 15 seconds then we're going to lift it. So a minute of VO2, 30 seconds of anaerobic, and then back to 2 minutes of threshold before some lovely recovery. Okay, get ready. 3, 2, 1. Okay, stay seated, lift the cadence. If you're erg mode off, try and hit the power just by lifting your cadence. And only then, if you're spinning out, drop into a heavier gear. You want to maintain that really nice high leg speed. Hold on, guys. Keep going. Thirty seconds. Stay on it. Okay, it should be well above 90 RPM. Sit Serena on the front of the second group. Keep drilling it. Let's reel them in. Then we're going to kick for 30 seconds. 130% of FTP in 3, 2, 1. Lift it, guys. Come on. Halfway, 15 seconds. Keep punching it. Last 2 seconds. We're coming down to threshold again, so don't ease off on the leg speed. Keep the leg speed up. Allow the power, the resistance to come off. We'll shift into an easier gear depending on if you're erg on or erg off. Whatever you do, don't slow down the leg speed if you can. You slow it down, you go into a death spiral. That's it, guys. Just coming up to 90 seconds to go. Right, last 90-second push, guys, at threshold. You're nearly there. Not far off the final minute, guys. Okay, here we go, last 60 seconds then. Try and maintain. Last 45 seconds of hard work. Nearly there. Last 30 seconds. 10. Nearly there, all the way to the end. 5, 3, 2, and 1. Relax, guys, well done. Good stuff, guys, just relax. Catch your breath. Well done, everyone. Group back together. Okay, so you've got 3 minutes down. About 45% of FTP, I think. So just catch your breath. Start to get fluids back on board. Just relax. Okay, well done, guys. So I'll come to your point in a sec, Nick, just to finish off the AI chat and talk about some of the limitations. Not regarding skills work, strength work, doesn't prepare for the realities of racing with warm-up races, doesn't do ongoing benchmark beyond the obvious metrics. AI platforms tend to be pretty boring, and they're still based on a training philosophy, so how they deal with recovery is up for discussion, shall we say. And then actually what they can produce is only really as good as the data going in. So as I've said before, the data from swim watchers, if we're talking about triathlon, is absolute garbage. So how you create a AI driven swim platform, a swim program based on data coming in, yeah, God only knows really. Wearables really, so for me, the only reason way you can really accurately start to nail down a quantified fatigue state, etc., is through wearables. But their accuracy varies wildly. Wrist heart rate monitors are not great. Really, we should be wearing chest heart rate monitors all the time. Within that, you want sleep data, heart rate variability data, and all that should input your training approach. And then the quantification of your metrics. And then one thing they really can't take into account, even with all that, is emotional stress. Yeah, that will show up in heart rate variability data and probably sleep data, but actually pinpointing that as an issue, yeah, there has to be a human element involved. Okay, so it's coming up to tempo now. Again, so that recovery period is quite short. So building back up to tempo, 80% of FTP, shoulders down. Yeah, so none of them take into account the emotional side. And I think one last little failing currently is trying to distill everything down to a single metric. I think it's a fool's errand. We don't want one-dimensional athletes. We want athletes that are well educated, and so far from what I've seen, none of the platforms are putting any energy into educating athletes, and I just think that's a really shoddy business model, and it will come back to bite them. So we focus on the negatives there, but start with the positives. Ultimately, it's here to stay and it has enormous potential, and I'm a big fan of it for using it for certain things. So it's like anything, you know, you have to weigh out the pros and cons and decide how to use it. You know, I'm using ChatGPT to do stuff, and I've been blown away by it. Its potential is insane. You know, it's like, the way I describe it to Charlotte is, it's like talking to, you know, a smart person that knows something about everything, you know. So I was getting it to run algorithms and stuff that, you know, I think I'm relatively smart, but I don't know, I'm not great at maths. Whereas AI, ChatGPT, you know, it is. And it's also good at, you know, English literature, it's good at history, it's just incredible. Anyway, so that's my little chat on AI. Let's talk a little bit as we kind of roll around at tempo level. Just feel like a 6 out of 10. Legs probably feeling a little bit heavy, but make sure your cadence is upwards of 85 RPM. Come back to next question about 80-20. So 80-20 is kind of like the main training theory at the moment, and it's based on the macro research of a guy called Stephen Seiler. I saw him talk at a conference once. He's a very likable guy, very smart guy, obviously. The 80-20 theory basically suggests that of your total volume, 80% of it should be sub-threshold, and only 20% of it should be above threshold. And that's it in a basis, and the macro research is basically focused on primarily cross-country skiers, because it's well accepted that they have probably the most insane VO2 maxes in sport. And he looks at world champions, etc. So yeah, 80-20, that's it in a nutshell. In terms of application, how you apply what world champions are doing to somebody who had 10 hours a week, yeah, it's not that straightforward. There's a very good underlying philosophy for training, but for a amateur athlete, you're looking at that 80-20 approach over the course of a full season, really, and then you try and apply it at micro levels as best you can. But in reality, you know, clip racer, they probably just do more than 20% on a weekly basis. And you know, triathlete probably fits the 80-20 theory best, I would say, in terms of their needs and the spread of intensity over the week. But then different times in the season, you need a different emphasis. So it is an incredibly helpful underlying theory. But if you're applying it to someone who has 10 hours as opposed to a world champion who's training of upwards of 30 hours, what it looks like in reality is very different. And how stringently you can apply it is personal to each athlete. So that's the 80-20 theory. Hopefully, there's plenty of books on it. Personally, I would go and read the macro research. There is a paper I've got kicking around somewhere, which is very readable. It's not super heavy, but maybe like bypass some of the coaching books, because they all have their interpretation of it, and generally they're trying to sell you their theory. their interpretation of it. And likewise, I've got my own interpretation of it. So, anyway, so cruising at tempo level now. 8% of FTP, should feel like a 6 out of 10. Just keep reminding yourself, drop shoulders, try and relax and keep your chin up. Imagine you're all just knackered already. But has anyone got any other questions on AI or other training topics? I'm just going to take a quick break. Well done, guys. Very quiet tonight. Hope it's because you're just knackered, not because you don't want to talk to me. Okay, so it's got just on the. Oh, I think someone unmuted themselves. Go ahead. AI to plan a race strategy? No, I haven't actually. That could be quite an interesting use of it, really, because following on from our discussion the other day, Jason, about W prime and it essentially being a sort of anaerobic fuel tank. Be interesting to stick that in and see what it says in terms of how to apply it. I don't know, I mean, the way that AI has some real limitations beyond what I've discussed. In terms of how you use it, you have to be knowledgeable yourself, in my view. In a particular subject, you have to have, you have to be able to check it, basically. So, for instance, I'm using it to write some articles, and some of them, it would have been quicker for me to write it myself. But, you know, I've been playing around with it, seeing how I can use it. And yeah, you need to be able to check it, because how it applies its knowledge isn't always the way you expect. You know, it doesn't always go deep on areas that you want it to, and lighter in others. And you know, you say, can you produce this? Yeah, the level of kind of detail that you get back varies, and it's quite hard to be specific in what you want detail on. So you've always got to be relatively knowledgeable on the subject if you're using it, just so you can sense check it. But yeah, using it to produce a race plan can be interesting. Another on that is, yeah, bringing in all the important data. So that might be the best use of it. So in our race plans for like Ironman events and stuff, we bring in all the weather, the wind, and all these other inputs. So yeah, I could really see a use of that to save you from having to go on various different websites. Could be really useful in that sense, just bringing in all that relatively simple data to bring it into one place so you don't have to trawl websites. Just that question, Jason. Good one. Okay, coming up to the last minute then. At tempo. The last minute, and then we're going through the conditioning round again. 3 minutes at FTP, a minute at VO2, 30 seconds at anaerobic, and then 2 minutes at threshold. And then that's the really hard work done, guys. We've got a 10-minute sector at the end, that's tempo, and that's going to feel not the most fun, but in terms of really hard work, this is the last round of it, okay? So pick yourself up, get ready for it. Let's get ready to do some damage, guys, okay? So 15 seconds, and then we lift. Ready to go, guys. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Up we go. to the threshold now. 100% of FTP should feel like an 8 out of 10 effort. So hard. Watch your heart rate. Should creep up. Not immediately, but in the first couple of minutes or so, creep up to around your own threshold heart rate. Once you're up to effort and you're up to cadence, so 90 plus RPM, draw the shoulders down, get the chin up, and just sit back on your saddle. Try and relax as much as you can. Not easy to do at threshold. We want all the power going to the pedals. Okay, you're coming up towards a minute down already. Okay, keep going, guys. Give me a second, guys. Just got to lift my saddle. Can't get a bit of knee pain. Sorry about that, guys. Dealing with a bit of knee trouble recently. Take some of the pressure off the front of my knee. Okay, so got just about a minute left at threshold, okay? So keep doing what I was talking about in terms of relaxing as best you can. Chin up, don't compress those airways. High cadence, remember guys, that's your goal throughout of it. Erg mode if it's working for you. If not, then try and do your best in terms of power targets. Your power is always going to fluctuate when you're out of erg mode, okay? And that's natural. That's how we should produce power in reality. Obviously erg mode allows us to do it in a very consistent manner. Okay, get ready guys, ready to lift. 2, 1, up we go. Up to VO2 max level, about 115% of FTP. That's coming up to the halfway through the VO2 sector. Approaching 10 minutes left. That's sort of a 9 out of 10 effort, 115% of FTP. Getting ready to lift it for the final time, guys. Ready? 3, 2, 1, up we go, come on! Anaerobic now, about 130% of FTP. Really rev up those legs, get that cadence nice and high. Just try and spin your way through it as best you can. 20. 10. You're nearly there, guys, stay on it. Oh, let's go, 3, 2, 1, and then keep the leg speed going, okay? Don't ease on the leg speed. If erg mode's on, allow that to remove the resistance slowly. If your erg mode off, shift into that easier gear to keep the cadence up. It's not going to feel like an 8 out of 10 for a while, if at all in the final 2 minutes. You've got just about 90 seconds of hard work, and that's all the really hard work done for the session, so stay on it. Last minute and 20. You're there, guys. Last minute and 60 seconds. Come on, big push, guys. Come on. It's approaching 30 seconds now. Try and keep it steady. 100% of FTP. Cadence wise, we're above 90 RPM. Just finish it off. "20 seconds. "10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax." Well done, guys. Well done. That's all the proper hard work done. So spin up the legs, down to about down to about 45% of FTP. Really cruising. Get your breath back. Once you got your breath, bring your cadence back up above 80 RPM, okay? Well done, guys. So let's start those types of efforts. Potentially bring back some mixed memories from racing. Well done. So we've got a while now. All the hard work is done. We just got a couple minutes more of recovery. And let's get finished off with a tempo sector. Okay? That is our baseline for the session. That tempo effort, okay? So you're probably, pretty hacked off that we've still got a tempo effort to do, and it's 10 minutes long. What's the point? Be able to do those efforts, snatch a bit of recovery, and then bring it up to a really decent baseline, because that's the sort of thing is non-negotiable in a race if you want to stay at the pointy end. So just imagine at the moment on a little downhill or something. Good job, everyone. Last minute.
DJ play my songs, make me party all night long.
So again, guys, if you've got any questions, we've got a 10-minute tempo sector to work our way through. Might be easier to ask them now, and then I can talk, and you guys can just focus on pedaling. If you've got any questions about AI, training, any other questions, feel free to hit me. Ten seconds. And back up to tempo for the final time. So build into it. If you want to take erg mode off this, then feel free to do so, and just do your best to hit the target after those sorts of efforts. Trying to hit the power with erg mode can be a bit challenging as your leg speed slows. Let's make sure your cadence is above 80 at least. Well done, guys.
DJ play my songs, make me party all night long.
Okay, so back up to tempo now. Coming up to a minute down already. Just go through all the normal stuff. Just so we're trying to finish as relaxed as can. So shoulders down, chin this up, just relax your hands, shake out the elbows. Try and keep the cadence up above 80. Let's just finish this off, guys. A quick little recap of what we talked about. Interrupt me, guys, if you've got any questions. So we talked about how AI is inevitable, that it's going to play some role in our training going forwards. It has a potential to be incredibly useful. However, it is easy to think that it will solve everything. I'm incredibly excited about it for its potential to do a lot of heavy lifting for me in terms of training plan creation, so then I can nuance it and make it fit my philosophy, and just give me extra capacity so I do things that I think really add value to you guys in terms of helping you manage your training, maintain your mental health, keep everything in balance, because AI is a long way off from quantifying that emotional stress, helping you guys to develop your knowledge. That's something I'm always very keen on, helping you develop your skills, teach you about fueling and hydration, and creating resources, as I've been doing a lot of recently with the calculators and articles, etc. That real potential is in its ability to do real-time plan out adaptations. The sort of stuff I would love to be able to do, but just realistically we'll never have the time to do. Every little adjustment. There's some pretty big flaws with AI in training, as I've gone through. Focus on skills work and things like that. It can be quite boring training because it's all about quantifying the stress and distilling that into a single metric. And really, they can only do that as well as they can only do that as good as the data going in, and there's significant issues there. I mentioned swim data, it's a real pet peeve of mine. The data you get from a triathlon watch, a smartwatch, is just garbage. And then there's variation in the accuracy of wearables generally. And yeah, ultimately, the thing it will never be able to do, AI, is take account of emotional stress. It's still a form of stress, just like training stress. Takes your energy, but nonetheless, all of it has enormous potential. And I'm going to try and maximize my use of it. But I think I'm approaching it with very much skeptical optimism. Just hitting the halfway point in this tempo sector now, guys. Just try and relax. Not too long now, guys. Now, you're right. I remember doing, when I did this session last, it's about this point I just sort of thought, why am I doing this tempo sector? And it's that questioning, which is why we need to do it. We need to kind of drag you along that reasonable baseline when you think the hard work is done. And have that confidence, you've done that hard work, you're still recovering from it, and you're doing that at a strong baseline. And again, that's what we're trying to instill in you guys for the race season, is that I was thinking about it today actually. People talk about mental toughness. I actually don't think it is really a thing. I think there's prepared and unprepared. And being prepared gives you that extra bit of confidence. So in this scenario, it gives you that extra confidence that you can just hold on a little bit longer than the other person. That for me is really what kind of mental toughness means, because it just means you're prepared, and that's giving you a lot of confidence. Because I've yet to meet anyone who I'd sort of take one look at and like, oh yeah, mentally tough, that person. Really, I think you guys will surprise yourselves. You're capable of incredible things, and that's because you all have inherent mental toughness. It's about having the confidence and the belief in your preparedness, really. And that's what this kind of last crawl is about. It's just instilling that, right, I can recover at this level, I know I can. And so when you look down at your at your head unit in the middle of the race after it's all kicked off, and you're like, oh, okay, running a tempo here, I can definitely recover at that level. I can definitely refill my W Prime, my anaerobic fuel tank, and get ready to go again. That's another 2.5 minutes to go, guys. Keep relaxed, shoulders down. I keep seeing myself on screen. My shoulders are pinned like this. Last couple of minutes of strong work. Should feel like a 6 out of 10, but probably feels like more of a 7, I would have said, towards the end of the session. But just stay on it, guys. Get that cadence above 80. Let's finish it off. Salty X has just joined. Okay, interesting name. My last 90 seconds then. Joining very late in the game. Nearly there now, guys. Approaching the last minute. Still at 80% of FTP. Finishing it off. Last 45, you're nearly there. Try and stay as relaxed as possible. Move back together for the last 20 seconds. Keep rolling through. Yeah, guys. 9 few seconds. 5 seconds. Come on. All the way to the end. 2, 1. And relax. Well done, guys. Good stuff. Just chill out. Spin up the legs now. It's a nice easy gear of about 50% of FTP or something. So we'll just hit some VO2 and anaerobic lifts off a threshold baseline. Or really a tempo baseline, wasn't it, ultimately? It's more like threshold VO2 and anaerobic lifts off a tempo baseline. So next week, we're changing it up. We're doing what I've called short track efforts. So that's basically going to be lots of sporadic anaerobic efforts. Okay? That's going to be a really nice dynamic session, very different to tonight's session. Okay, you've had a lot of time to think at steady state, hard steady state efforts. Next week is very different. So it's got a couple of minutes if there's any other questions. How did you guys all get on? Was it manageable or was it just pure hell? You miss Ergmed. I'll be honest with you, mate. Like we use erg mode less and less these days, and I'm seeing more and more coaching outfits comment on it as well. Like it's a really great conditioning tool. Don't get me wrong, particularly when you're doing longer steady state efforts like this. But it's quite limiting, really. So don't worry, you haven't missed anything too much. Yeah, it sounds like you might have some sort of interference. So if you use Zwift as well, Zwift starts itself up when you turn your device on. So make sure Zwift is turned off for a start, and then if are you using a laptop or another device? Yeah. So phone, laptops, when it comes to Bluetooth, they only have a certain number of Bluetooth connections, and so if you've got other devices trying to connect, it can interrupt the signal. So with a laptop, I would suggest maybe using Amp Plus. It's less, it recycles less frequently, but you're less likely to get interference with Amp Plus. It seems to be the trend, but particularly with Training Peaks Velo, tends to be the trend. So get Zwift off and maybe use Amp Plus. You can just get a cheap little dongle. Yeah, it does, as I say, always turns itself on. What you can do is go to your startup protocol on your laptop and stop it from loading up when you start Windows. But yeah, otherwise head to the Training Peaks virtual help pages. There's tons of stuff on there. Some quite common issues that are troubleshooted there. No worries, guys. Cheers to your company, guys. Thanks for your questions. Take care. Have a lovely evening.